Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have another alcohol ink card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So I chose to make this card simply because I made a card on Monday that kind of didn't feel finished because I didn't end up adding a sentiment or anything. So I wanted to give this another go with alcohol inks and do something just slightly more involved. And I really wanted it to be a 5x7 card. So that's what you see me doing here. I cut down a card base, so I cut it 10 by 7 so that I can score at the 5-inch mark, making it 5 by 7. And then for my mat and my Yupo layer, I am going to do my usual border because I love that little layer. That's one of my favorite things ever. So I cut my black mat to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, my 5 by 7 base, and my Yupo piece will be 1/4 of an inch smaller than my 5 by 7 base. And I am going to cut it down from an 8 by 11 sheet just because I've actually run out of the 5 by 7 ones. You can get Yupo cut to certain sizes, or you can get it in these sheets, which I have a little bit of both on hand just in case, because I never know what size I want something to be. So I tend to have both on hand, but I did run out of the 5 by 7 sheets because that would have been perfect for this. So I'm going to score that at that 5-inch mark, giving me a 5 by 7 inch base. And this is just because I wanted a little more real estate to work with. I wanted to bring in 4 colors of alcohol ink and an alloy, which gives you kind of a metallic finish. So I wanted a bigger piece of Yupo to play with, but I'm going to do it pretty much the exact same way I did it on Monday, except we're going to do more layers and add just a few different things in there. So you saw me start. I started with my blending solution. That's just because I like that. It helps your colors blend as it is named, but I will also bring in some 99% isopropyl alcohol as well that I just have in a little bottle. You'll see it here in a minute. It comes in and it's blue and it's got a little eyedropper in it. I'm going to use that later to create kind of a cell effect as well. So we'll do that here in a little bit, but most of this is honestly just playing with the alcohol inks as we kind of talked about on Monday. The only difference is that I really intentionally wanted to go blue to pink. That's kind of what I was thinking. So I chose 4 colors of ink, of alcohol ink. Let me remember the names. Indigo is my dark blue. Opulent is the first purple. I'm going to use 2 purples in this because if you guys have been with me for a hot minute, you know that purple is my favorite color. So having a bunch of it in the center just makes me happy. Although mixing blue and pink would give you a shade of purple anyways, but I chose to put 2 purples in the middle. So I used Indigo for the dark blue, Opulent, which is a pearl, Villainous, which is another pearl, and then I finished with Raspberry. That is my pink color at the bottom. And you're going to see, now I'm going to add, this is Gilded, and it is an alloy alcohol ink. Now there's, I believe, 6 colors of alloys. I chose Gilded because I really wanted a touch of gold throughout this card. And you're going to see me repeat that gold in several different places. And honestly, I think when you add something you're not really familiar with, you kind of got to just play with it. And you're going to see, I'm going to make a mistake here in a little bit. And it's just because every once in a while, I find the alloy inks, they plug. And I'm going to squeeze too hard and I'm going to end up with so much extra ink that I don't need. So bear that in mind. But you know what, honestly, there isn't much we can't fix. So I'm never concerned about that here. I mean, honestly, if you hated this completely, you could add a bunch of isopropyl alcohol to it and wipe it off and start over with a piece of Yupo because it's plastic. So you can actually see right there, I squeezed way too hard. So all I did was kind of air it off of the side of my card. Just because that made it a little easier to move the excess that I didn't want off of the card. And then of course I did use some blending solution to get the blue to blend in with that gold, and then just kept adding color as I felt it was necessary. But honestly, this is a piece of plastic. Yupo is a plastic cardstock. So you really can just, wipe all of this alcohol ink off if you don't like it and start again without wasting the cardstock. It will dye it a little bit because of course alcohol inks do kind of have a lot of pigment to them. So it will dye the cardstock, but honestly, who cares? You could just reuse it with a fun base color down instead of white. So keep that in mind so you can have a play and not feel bad about using your materials. I know that a lot of the cardstocks we use are not inexpensive, so wasting them seems kind of scary, but I don't think that learning your mediums is ever going to be a bad thing. So keep that in mind and just have a little play because you can fix most things. And then this is just the Tim Holtz Splatter brush, and I dipped it into my isopropyl alcohol bottle because I wanted to splatter on just little droplets that kind of end up creating these cell looks. And you're going to see here in a second, I'm going to hold it up so you can watch them kind of bloom. And you see all those little cells, like the little white dots, that's what it's added. And it's going to keep doing that until it completely dries. So you have a little bit of movement there. Now, as I said, I wanted this card to feel a bit more complete. So I brought in the Vault Wildflowers dies. These were just released like a month or so ago. And I cut them out of black glitter cardstock and gold glitter cardstock. Now, the gold is the Tim Holtz, the one that's like printed on the craft cardstock. Give me 2 seconds. I'll remember the name. Oh, there we go. Tim Holtz Sparkle Classics. So the top is actually a printed glitter, and it's stunning. I honestly don't understand the technology behind this. I don't understand how a printer can print glitter and have it be like unflakeable. I don't know. It's just mind-boggling. If you haven't played with his sparkle cardstock before, you need to check it out because it's just I'm mind-boggled by it. But I did bring in some black cardstock as well, just because I'm kind of playing off of this black and gold colored cardstock look. And then the background is very vibrant. So you kind of have the best of both worlds going on. So originally I had cut 2 gold wildflowers and then 3 black wildflowers, and in the end I opted to change it out so that I only had the one larger gold flower on the front, just because I felt like having 2 kind of pulled your eye too much. So I recut that same wildflower that I originally cut in gold in that black glitter and adhered it to the front so that there's only the one gold on the front and then the rest are black. This is honestly just because I found the other one just too odd. It was just pulling your eyes in too many different directions, but that's okay because I will adhere the gold wildflower just on the inside of the card. So it's not wasted, it's just used in a completely different manner. And then this super tall, skinny sprig-like one, I love it. It's probably my favorite die out of this set. Actually, they're all pretty great, just because it's a great filler. You can just add it to anything and it just gives you a little bit of something extra without stealing the whole show. And I love filler plant ones. They're always a great addition to any card, I find. So I did kind of play with my little bouquet of wildflowers here until I was happy with how it looked, making sure that the gold one was sitting on top, as I wanted it to be the most eye-catching of the wildflowers, and then the black ones kind of just help break it up from the background. And I do have it hang off just because I wanted it to be a bit shorter than everything else. And originally I actually adhered it flat, but right before it adhered completely, I changed my mind and just stuck a black 3D foam square behind it, one of those really thin ones. So you get just a touch of dimension without really putting much bulk on the card. Because I am going to add a couple more layers to this. So this is where I changed my mind. And I just stick a black foam square on the back. And then I flip it over because I found this was just the easiest way to remove the release paper without trying to pull everything off. And then I just adhered it back down. And I just thought that added something just a little bit extra and interesting. And now, because honestly, I feel like I'm throwing everything and the kitchen sink at this card, so why the heck not? I'm going to add some white and gold twine. Now, the white works because I have a white base and I have some white of my Yupo showing. So, I mean, white's always going to be a great addition unless you have no white in the design already, but that makes it so it doesn't steal the show, but it still stands on its own. So it's kind of my idea. And then when I like to wrap anything around my card bases, be it twine or rope or string or whatever you want to do, I like to just use some double-sided tape on the back so that I can anchor the string as it goes around the card, so that I don't have to fight with glue and whatnot, just because it makes no sense to me to, fight with it. So I just wrap it all the way around and I randomly cut the length, and just wherever it ends up, as long as it adheres on the back, that's what I trim off. So here I think I got 4 lengths around my card, and then I adhered it back on the back so that it couldn't go anywhere. and I pushed it into that double-sided tape. And then I brought in my Mama 3D foam tape. So this is the Simon Says Stamp Big Mama foam tape. This is incredibly thin. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch in thickness. I don't even know if it's that thick, to be honest with you. Maybe it's 1/16 of an inch, but it is incredibly thin. So it gives you dimension without a lot of bulk, because as a general rule, I do actually mail my cards out. So not all of them, of course. I mean, I make more cards than I could mail. I mean, what do? We do 2 videos a week, 52 weeks a year. Like, you can imagine how many cards and projects I make in a year. So I don't mail them all out, but I do make my cards with the intention that I'm going to send it to somebody. So I try to keep that in mind, just because, of course, that will add to postage. So I like to add dimension without making it incredibly bulky and hard to mail. And then I just kind of layered it around where that twine was going across the card, and now I'm just going to adhere it down to my black mat. So I use tweezers for this just because I find the reverse tweezers easier to lift off that release paper, but honestly it doesn't matter. I mean, I have used my fingers before. I just find this easier. And this is also my favorite foam tape because it has a little bit of wiggle room. You're going to see here that I lay this down and I'm like, oh, it's great, I'm going to push it, and then I'm like, it's not straight at all. So I'm easily able to lift it back up, realign it, and lay it back down. And I don't know a lot of foam tapes that let you do that. I don't think that most do, to be honest. And now it is pressed in because I'm going to adhere the black mat now to my base. And then I did set my my switch plate on top of it. You know, my die cutting machine's plate. I sat that on top of this so that everything would adhere as flat as possible because it did have just a touch of warp to it. And I just wanted everything to adhere nicely. So you don't see me do that, but I did do that. And then because, you know, why not? We're going to add a wax seal because I'm super into wax seals these days and they're just so fun. So I'm going to bring in black wax melts. That's what I'm using here. And I just have a little rose wax. I don't know, seal, press. I don't know what you want to call the part that I'm actually going to use. And I just brought that black wax in, put it around the string and the flowers where I wanted it. It made a weird shape. I'm 100% okay with that. And I have a little bit of I have a full jar of, do you remember when Tim Holtz 2 Christmases ago brought out dyed rock candy glitter? Do you guys remember that? It was, he did it for Halloween in black, and then he did it for Christmas in silver and gold. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what that was. I just sprinkled some of that gold into the stamp. And then I'm going to bring in another shade of gold and just go lightly over the rose just to make it stand out just a touch more against that because you couldn't really see it. And I did want it to just be a little bit more obvious than it was. So this actually came in my wax melt kit. So that and the little candle and the whatnot, all of those things came in a kit. And that stuff is all listed down below. And then I brought in a sentiment so that I could kind of finish off this card. And I did choose to use one of the Tim Holtz label sentiments. You don't have to. I mean, any sentiment would look stunning here. I just chose that because I thought it would fall into the black and accents really well. And I kind of loved how that turned out. And because, again, why not add some pearls? I brought in some gold metallic pearls as well, just to give it a little bit more bling, a little more shine, a little more eye-catching. Because at this point, I mean, I've added everything else. Why not finish it off with some pearls? But honestly, I love how this card came together. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you'll let me know what you think because it is a lot more in-depth than Monday's card, but you know, it's kind of fun to just throw everything you love at one card and see what happens, which is kind of what I've done with this one. So that is what I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday, so thank you so much, guys. And if you have some spare time, maybe watch the next video that it's recommending on the next screen, just because that's how YouTube knows that you love my content and want to see what I'm making. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.